Hello everyone, today we are going to read a story called Three Questions by Leo Tolstoy. The thought came to a certain king that he would never fail, as if he knew three things. These three things were: what is the right time to begin something, which people should he listen to, what is the most important thing for him to do. So, class, if you are listening to me, please write down the three questions in your copy. They are important. Okay. Next, the king therefore sent messengers throughout his kingdom, promising a large sum of money to anyone who would answer these three questions. So, the king now, what did he do? In order to find some answer to his questions, he told his messengers to go throughout his kingdom, to move throughout his kingdom, and find someone wise enough who would be able to answer his questions, three questions, and in return he would give him a large sum of money. Many wise men came to the king, but they all answered his questions differently. So many people they came to him, but nobody could answer him properly. He was not satisfied with their answers. In reply to the first question, some said the king must prepare a timetable and then follow it strictly. Only in this way, they said, he could do everything at its proper time. So, somebody suggested him to follow a timetable. Why a timetable? Because a timetable, according to them, will help him to do everything at its proper time. Others said that it was impossible to decide in advance the right time for doing something. The king should notice all that was going on, avoid foolish pleasures, and always do whatever seemed necessary at that time. So others suggested him that he should not go with the policy of following timetable, rather he should learn to react according to situations, according to time, and he should not involve in any foolish pleasures, rather he should do whatever seemed necessary at that time. Yet others said that the king needed a council of wise men who could help him act at the proper time. Few people suggested him that he requires a council of wise men who could help him to act according to the proper time, according to the situation. This was because, according to them, one man could find it impossible to decide correctly without help from others the right time for every action. Why did they advise the king to appoint a council of wise men? Because according to them, it is not possible for a lone king uh, to work. He always requires someone who could help him in some way or the other. Alone he cannot do everything. But then others said that there were some things which could be urgent. These things could not wait for the decision of the council. In order to describe the right time for doing something, it is necessary to look into the future. So somebody said that no, it is not possible for the council of wise men to do everything. There is something called emergency. So according to situations, according to the requirement, according to emergency, we have to learn to react. We cannot just wait for the correct time. Thinking about the future, we have to react immediately. So this is what some people, group of people, answered, and only magicians could do so. The king therefore could have to go to magicians. So somebody advised him to go to the magicians. According to them, it's the magician who can help him to solve these three questions. In their answers to the second question, some said that the people most necessary to the king were his counselors. Others said the priest, a few chose the doctors, and yet others said that his soldiers were the most necessary. Somebody answered to his second question. The second question, they said that maybe it's the doctor who was the most important person for him, maybe it's the priest, maybe it's the counselor. Last but not the least, somebody advised him that it's the soldiers who were the most necessary person for him. Okay, to the third question, some said science, others chose fighting, and yet others religious worship. Some answer given to the third question was science, probably fighting, and others said it's a religious worship. As the answers to his questions were so different, the king was not satisfied and gave no reward. He could not give any reward to anyone because he was not satisfied with the answers given by different people, as they were completely different from each other and they never matched with each other. Instead, he decided to seek the advice of a certain hermit who was widely known for his wisdom. So what do you mean by hermit? A hermit is a person who lives alone and leads a simple life. Okay, so this hermit is known for his wisdom. What do you mean by wisdom? He was well known for his knowledge. The hermit lived in a wood which he never left. He saw no one but simple people, and so the king put on ordinary clothes before he reached the hermit's house. The king left his horse with his bodyguard and went on alone. So, as you can see, now he decides to meet the hermit. Who is a hermit? As I told you, is a very simple person. So, in order to meet a simple person, you have to dress up yourself in a very simple way. Same thing was done by the king also. In order to meet the hermit, he decided to dress up in a very simple manner, and he told his bodyguards to stop him far so that the hermit does not come to know that he was a king. As the king came near the hermit's house, he saw the hermit digging the ground in front of his hut. What did he saw? He saw what did he see actually? He saw the hermit. What was he doing? He was actually digging the ground. Okay, and he was there in his hut and he was digging the ground. He greeted the king and continued digging. The hermit was old and weak, and as he walked, he breathed heavily. So, as you can see, the hermit in the picture, he was pretty old. Okay, he was an old man. Okay, what was he doing? After whole day work, he was probably loss of breath. Okay, he was breathed heavily means probably he was losing his breath. Okay, the king went up to the hermit and said, I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you 3 questions. Answer 3 questions. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Who are the people I need most, and what affairs are the most important? So again he is repeating the 3 questions that has already been repeated in the first stanza, in the first paragraph of the story. The hermit listened to the king, but did not speak. He went on digging, but you are tired, said the king. Let me take the spade and walk in your place. So the king, when he entered the hut, he found the old man who was digging the ground. So as soon as the old man, the hermit, saw the king, he greeted him and he told him that the hermit was, and the king saw that the hermit was old and weak, and he was working very hard. So, day and night he was working, so he was losing his breath. So now what happens after meeting the king? After meeting the hermit, the king decides to ask him the same 3 questions which we have already talked about in the first paragraph of the story. The hermit listened to the king. So after listening to him, the hermit did not answer him anything. So he kept on digging. So he did not answer, he did not respond to the king at all. Rather, he kept on doing what he was doing. Next, what did the king say? The king told him that told the hermit that now you should take rest and I should help you out to dig the ground. Thanks, said the hermit, giving the king his bed. Then he sat down on the ground. Now, who is doing this? Who is digging the ground? Now, the king is digging the ground and the hermit is sitting down. When the king had dug 2 beds, he stopped and repeated his questions. The hermit gave no answer but stood up, stretching out his hand for the spade, and said, "Now you rest and let me work." So, what did the king do? After digging 2 beds, he stopped himself and he again started asking him the same questions, the same old 3 questions. But what did the hermit do? The hermit did not answer him. Rather, he stood up and he told the king to take rest, and he decided to dig the ground again. 1 hour passed, then another. The sun went down behind the trees, and at last the king stuck the spade into the ground and said, "I came to you, a wise man, for an answer to my question. If you can give me no answer, tell me so I will return home." "Here comes someone running," said the hermit. Okay, so now after almost an hour, the sun was about to set. It was in the evening. Now we can see that the king is losing temper. Why is he losing temper? Because he has come all the way to the hermit to solve these questions, to get some answers from this hermit, because he was a wise man. But this wise man was not answering, this wise hermit was not answering to his questions. So the king was feeling very irritated, and he said, "If you don't want to answer me, you can tell me directly that I don't want to answer you. Why are you wasting my time?" So this is what he said, and then suddenly what happens? Somebody comes running, said the hermit. Okay, that's all for today. I hope you have understood the story. If you have any problem, please feel free to ask me. Tomorrow we will come up with the explanation of the second part. Hope